Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Born Political. This is going to be a night where you just get me. So don't turn off the TV just yet. I know that you're used to hearing some of the unbelievable guests that I have on week in and week out, and I didn't have a guest this week, but there's so much stuff going on. I wanted to make sure I got down here and shared a lot of the stuff that's happening, not just in Groton, but around our region. I don't know if you noticed my shirt. I think I wore this one other time on the show. If you want one, my aunt actually makes them. She has a store in Waterford called Strike and Tella. That's where I got mine. It's pronounced Groton. People say Groton and all these different butcher the name of our town. This is a shirt. I wear it proud. I love it. People always comment on it. So you can go find her. She's over in Waterford. I think she's online. That's not a plug for the shirt. Well, I guess it is sort of a plug. But if you wanted one, that's who you look. Striking Tella. They're over in Waterford. Before we started today, I do have a lot of community stuff going on that I wanted to talk about. But first, I want to mention, and I was reminded when I walk in the store about a great loss that our community suffered this past month. Matt Auger, a judge, that was his latest title, but he's been so many other things to so many different people. Known as a lawyer that just was so prepared and just a great person. Everyone really knew him. There was a great article in the paper about him. Wonderful person, wonderful man, really a gift to our family. So if you're listening out there, the Auger family, from the Dela Cruz family and everyone around you, we will miss Matt. He's still having an impact today, even after his loss. We went to the memorial, and it was just beautiful, and to hear all the beautiful words that people said about him. We found some things out about Matt we didn't know, about how fast he drove cars. We didn't realize that was something that Matt did, but that was one of his passions. So, sadly, in his passing, of course, you don't know everything about everybody. I wish I had the opportunity to interview him on this show, because he would have been as wonderful as he is on the bench, as he was in law and throughout love. I didn't realize he was even a baseball coach. I just found that out tonight. So we shared a couple of our passions. And we are going to miss him, and to everybody in town, we are missing a huge part of Groton tonight, and moving forward. Hopefully, I saw his daughter, and she is a lot like him. So Matt lives through his children and all of his family, and even myself, people that he's touched. I do want to talk about the USS Groton. I know you guys have seen the last couple of shows here. I've had people that are on the board to explain what's happening. What has happened to me especially was I went to our meeting, which is the first Thursday of the month at the library, to discuss how we move forward, and we got to see the architect's rendering of what this monument is going to look like. If I could explain it, I would be a better person. I was at a loss for words, and you guys know I'm a man of many words. In fact, most people tell me to slow down when I'm talking. I talk too much. I had no words. They showed a slideshow of what we're going to see on Route 117. And if you're listening out there, you want to be a part of this. We had the Admiral on, we've had Master Chiefs, the former Mayor Galbraith to talk about it and the logistics of how we're going to build it. All those things, they mean a lot, and it's how it gets built. But these pictures and this slideshow, and you'll be able to see it on our Facebook. If you go to the USS Submarine Sale, Groton Submarine Sale, on our Facebook, you'll be able to see all the pictures. I don't think they're up yet because it was very new. They're going to put it past the planning and zoning. But my first comment when I saw it was basically, this is a Smithsonian level memorial. This is a memorial that you really, and nothing against the memorials that have been put up over the years. A lot of good people took time to work on those. But this just seems like it's in a different scope. It's going to actually be the same size as the USS Groton, with plantings and where the sail is in regards to where the rudder is. It's going to look like something you've never seen before. It's gonna like monument-wise. I promise you that. And again, you'll get to see for yourself soon. There are opportunities where you can become part of this, and I'm going to keep plugging. But when you go to the Facebook, it's easy. It says to donate. It says Give Smart. But when you go on that button and press the link, it's going to bring you right to all these different opportunities. If you're a business, we think that you're going to be very interested in possibly supporting by buying one of 14 trees. Yeah, count them. There's only 14 of them. It is $10,000, but it is something that's going to be there forever. It's going to have a little plaque with just the name of who donated. But it's going to be something that's going to be part of Groton for forever. And then as far as the bricks go, and this to me is very attainable for most folks. $250 is going to get you a brick. And if you have a loved one that served or not served, this memorial is basically is honoring everyone that's had anything to do with the building, maintaining, helping the families. It's a community memorial. It's really designed to honor everyone, and that's a lot of people. If you live in southeastern Connecticut, you know the impact that we have with submarines here and what it means to our region. But there's a lot of work happens in the Midwest. I've had guests on here that talk about having duty in the Midwest for the Navy, but there's nuclear power stations out there or training, and that happens all over the country. So if you know anyone, and it doesn't have to be submarine related, you could be a veteran. Where this memorial is going, it's already an established veteran park. There's a memorial in the middle. So you certainly can. My dad was in the Army. I bought a brick for him. My father-in-law was in the Air Force. We have a brick for him. We think he also worked at Electric Boat. My father also, his whole career was towed array systems for submarines. So it's more than appropriate. And if you were with a person that worked at a restaurant that served a lot of the Electric Boat people, maybe you should get a brick for yourself too, a family member. It's just a community memorial, like I said. I'm just excited. Again, if I'm at a loss for words, then you should definitely check it out. Because that doesn't normally happen. And in the meeting, I think people, because normally I say something right away, and I just couldn't get words out. And I think you're going to feel the same way when you see that. When you see it, it's going to be hard to not feel the way I did. Hopefully, we're able to get a slideshow together, because when you hear the architect, the landscape architect responsible, speak of how they came up with it and why they did what they did, it just meant even more. It's massive. There's a 6-foot wall when you're standing on the inside of it. The sail is going to be roughly 16 feet off the ground. So this is not going to be a small looking thing. It's just massive. And you're really going to get the idea of what it's like to be like standing next to a sub at ground level. The other thing I wanted to update you guys on, Community Speaks Out, obviously, my wife and I, and we spent a lot of time dedicated to that. But there are a lot of things that are happening. There's a picnic that we're going to have in June, and I'm not going to do any dates because I'm not wearing my glasses because I didn't want to give you the reflection out there. So I'm not going to do dates. What I'll tell you is this: is if you are interested in anything that Community Speaks Out does, you can easily go on their Facebook page. We all have phones. Just look it up. Go to the events. We do have the picnic. You do have to tell us that you're coming. It doesn't cost anything. We're trying to show that we're a recovery-friendly community. If it's something that you want to attend, you just go on that. There's a button there, and you sign up for it. It's just so we know how much food to get. But we're hoping to get about 200 people. A lot of folks have been coming to all of our events. We do a bowl. So if you're in recovery, we set these events up, and you're welcome to come to them. It's a bowling that we've been doing almost every other month. That happens right at the Groton Bowling Center. There's not one ready yet, but there is a cruise, a sunset cruise. Again, if you're in recovery, you come out and there's no cost. So it's something that you do have to sign up for. And then we have the picnic, which we're going to allow families, the whole families to come. A lot of the events we've been doing have been very specific to the folks that are in recovery themselves. This is just going to be expanded, and not just the families, community members. If it's something that you think you want to do, it's the weekend before July 4th. So we're hoping that there's a lot of family that is in town for the next long weekend. And just come on down. It's going to be at Washington Park. We have 3 pavilions. There's going to be a ton of food. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully you can make it to that. The other event that I want to put on everyone's schedule and mind, if you haven't heard of the Sober Softball Tournament, this is going to be our 7th annual tournament. So we've been doing this for 7 years. I think there's 1 year that we weren't able to because of COVID. So it might be the actual 6th, but 7th year. And basically, we're honoring folks who lost their battle to the disease of addiction. And to see how that operates and see how that what that looks like in person to have 8 teams, and we limit it to 8 teams. Basically, if you passed away of the disease of addiction at the age of, we'll say 28, the entire team will have your name on the back and the number 28, representing what age you were when you passed. And a lot of folks in addiction will say that you're forever that age because you never got old. But to watch how the family interacts with that, mom and dad or brother and sisters, watching a team play for their loved one, hearing someone cheer their name again, it almost brings them back. To see that sometimes their children are running around the bases. We do a competition with the young kids who can make it to home plate the fastest. Those are all great fun times. But it's going to be nice this year because it's a long day, just so you know. If you want to come down and see that, it starts at first game, I believe, is 9 o'clock in the morning. We get there about 7. We set up. If you want to be a volunteer for Community Speaks Out, we'll always take those. You can always just go right up on our website. If that's something that you thought you want to volunteer for, that would be great. If you're an umpire, I know I'm going to reach out to any umpire. That goes for Little League guys, too. They're looking for umps. But you can come in and enjoy the day. It's from 9 o'clock, and we finish usually about 9 or 10 at night. The final game starts about 8 o'clock or 8:30. And what we hope to do this year is really make the event about the candlelight vigil at the end. Because it is such a long day, a lot of the teams go home early. Families who are connected to those teams that, it's a long day, they end up going home. Understandably, it's very emotional. But the 2 teams that are in it for the finals, usually both families are still there and they're excited. And we usually have a candlelight vigil at the end, usually with 40 or 45 people. It's all the volunteers and the 2 teams and the families that are there because it's the end of the day. But what we want to really do is make sure at the end have the community come out. We're going to advertise it as the championship game, 8 o'clock, be there. We're going to cheer on these teams. We're going to support these families and the friends that are playing for them, showing them our community support. And then sharply, right after the game ends, we get everybody on the field. We light candles. The lights go out on the field. It's very impactful. We just honor the folks that have lost their lives. But more importantly, we're there to support the people that are still battling and fighting. It's an event that you don't want to miss. And after 7 years, if you've been in the town and you haven't been to it, what are you doing? You got to see stuff like this. Be part of it because it's great. The other thing I want to talk about is I'm a new member. I'm very, very excited about this. You may not have heard of it. Or you may have. It's called the Groton EDC, Economic Development Committee. I'm a brand new member. I went to the first meeting this past Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago. In fact, I wasn't on the show because I was at an EDC meeting. That one's going to be the first Thursday of the month. So I have all these little meetings that I'm going to. But this one's very exciting for me. You guys all know that I've been in politics now, I would say 15 years I did, between the RTM, the town council, and then being your state representative for 6 years. But the reality is there's a lot of give and take in those positions. And there is in the EDC, and there is a little bit on the Submarine Commission sale. But mostly it's a bunch of folks rowing the boat in the same direction. Robert Boris is actually the chair of that committee. I get to work with Paige Bronk, Jonathan Reiner. There's a few other members that I just met. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. I know George Methanol, who's been basically on that committee for the beginning of time, or since they started it. They've really been trying to grow Groton, to try to understand what the needs of the businesses are. And the reason I'm announcing it here that I'm on the EDC is you may see me show up at your business now. Not as a politician. I won't be asking you for any help or anything like that. But what we'll be asking is you to maybe fill out a survey because we're really trying to figure out collectively what businesses are looking for in Groton, what can be helped. And I think we had talked about even 2017 was one of the last times they did a concerted effort of knocking doors and really talking to business to see what they wanted. But we all know how the world has changed since 2017. I'm sure if you got in a time machine and knocked on a door of a business and asked them what they needed in 2017 and then did it today, the answer would be much different. Me being, I run a sheet metal factory right here in Groton, and I go to lunch every day, as you can see by my shape here on TV. But I eat well, and I go to a lot of different restaurants, and it seems like every single restaurant or small business that I go into and talk to, the biggest concern they have is labor, and how are they going to be able to get it, and that they need more people, or they would be open for another day. You look around, try going to a restaurant in Groton or in London on a Monday night. They're very far and few between. We really appreciate the ones that are still able to open up, and we also understand the ones that can't. When I talk to some of the restaurant owners, what they said is we probably have enough people to open 7 days a week, but that means that the employees have to work 7 days a week, and that's not productive for anybody. In fact, it's counterproductive. People need time off. So those are the types of things we're going to be asking. Hopefully, if I come to your door, it's not all about labor too. There's a lot of different things that when we knock on your door, and there's going to be a few of us. You're going to see some new faces and some old faces, some that you may have seen around, that are going to ask you questions that hopefully we get some input that really helps you. And hopefully it's just one small business that has 5 employees that comes up with the next big idea that really helps out all these businesses. So I know when I say survey, you feel the same way that I do. You see it on your phone or you see it on a computer, that someone's looking for help in a survey. This is one that can actually really, really help. I don't know if the questions are completely formed yet, but that's what we're asking you to do. So look for me in that. Exciting. I'm learning about all these other projects too that are coming up. It reminds me of my time on the RTM and council. When you go to all the meetings, it's no secret. Everyone says that, you get in and you learn the secrets now that you're a town council or you're on the RTM. Funny enough, all those meetings are very, very public. There are no secrets. You can go sit through all those meetings also if you wanted to. I totally encourage it. I'm not being facetious on that. I think that we would welcome anyone that wants to come to those meetings, the EDC, or if you're a small business, I encourage you. There's actually a lot of different help out there that you may not know about, whether it's a business loan or just someone trying to help you navigate, doing an expansion on your business, or finding out if there's grants. That's what we're here to do, and hopefully you see me in that capacity. And don't run. I'm not asking for your vote. I'm going to be asking for maybe possibly a survey though. And we've made it very brief because we know if you're in business, we know you don't have a lot of time. So hopefully that when you see me there, you're not ducking like you used to when I was knocking on doors to run. And then the Groton DTC, this is, I guess it's not embarrassing, but I do really appreciate the Groton DTC reached out. And I think this is should be probably more for Rita Schmidt than it is for me, but they are taking the time to honor or thank both of us. I had 15 years of service, public service to Groton, and I don't even want to guess at how many hours, years, how much time that Rita Schmidt has put in to this town. So that dinner is going to be held this Saturday. You can buy tickets at the door. I know they want a head count, so if you want to go, I know there's something on the Groton Democratic Town Facebook where you can still sign up and buy tickets. It's $30 at the door. And really, I think it's nice to do it. I feel very honored. Like I said, it's one of those things where you're like, why are you doing this? I'm still here, man. I'm not. But they really reached out, and I've gotten a lot of comments about how people appreciate public service, and definitely it's such an honor to be mentioned with someone like Rita Schmidt. Rita was she was elected mayor when it was my first term on the council, and to have her institutional knowledge, her knowledge about Groton, I was always able to lean on her. As a state representative, she called me when something needed for Groton, and I always knew that I could lean on her and ask her any questions, and she'd always answer her phone. So if you haven't heard about it, look it up. It's only a couple days away right now. But like I said, it'd be nice if you could go in advance and buy, because to show up at the door, although you can buy tickets at the door, we want to make sure that there is enough food. But it is at the Par 4. So we all know that Par 4 can handle pretty much anything. But they're going to be mad at me for saying that if 50 people show up extra. But please try to sign up for that. A great event. And if you know Rita Schmidt, you're going to get a chance to see her. You haven't got to see her on TV lately. She's not on our council anymore, but she's always kicking around. And it's going to be a great event. So hopefully you guys can make it to that. And I say Groton DTC. If you're a Republican, we want you there. We'd love for you to show up and come to that. It's going to be fun. And you know, you're going to probably see some folks that you haven't seen in a while. We've been, you know, it's with all the COVID and all the missed events, this will be a fun one. The other thing too I want to address is, you know, I got a lot of comments. I made a video. Tammy and I were down in Florida 3 weeks ago, which is why I wasn't here Thursday about 3 weeks ago. And I got to tell you, their weather is pretty sweet. I mean, we've been having some very good weather here too, but it was a great vacation. We really got to enjoy it. And when I was down there, I was seeing all this video and all this stuff about Bud Light and that how upset people were that they gave this. It was a transgender that was celebrating 1 year of basically transitioning from a man to a woman, and the can was basically just a birthday card, really no different. It wasn't like they put it on every can that they sold. It was just saying, hey, you know, congratulations on 1 year, 1 year. And you know, there was a viral video that basically, you know, Kid Rock had taken a AK-47 and or whatever gun it was. I don't know what he had, but he basically machine gunned a case of Busch Light. My commentary on it was pretty. It's dark. What I think is, you know, and most people don't understand the way I understand. We all understand things differently. But what I understand is when somebody that has a platform, like a Kid Rock, posts something to me that was clearly violent, shooting at you know, basically somebody gave someone a birthday card and someone's going to shoot it up, basically is what happened. And for me, that can set off people like we've seen that mall shooter just recently. You know, when you're between the age of 16 and 25, I had that brain. I lived through that. I was a guy that you could wind up very, very easily. I was a guy that got in a lot of trouble when I was young. So I can understand, and maybe Kid Rock doesn't even understand how much his platform means or what his words mean. But when you have that platform, I don't think you should use it for like that. Maybe if he didn't like it, maybe he could come on and said something very simple like, I'm talking right here. But not be violent about it. And that's what the video was about. That's why I made the statement. I've gotten, you know, again, not crazy, a lot of backlash, but a lot of people asking me why I feel the way I do. It's very personal to me. You know, I have 2 family members that have actually transitioned, and we all have family members that have, you know, members of the LGBTQ community. And it's sad. It's tough for me because when I know that someone's getting kind of marching orders to be violent, that it puts my loved ones, people that mean a lot to me, and everyone means a lot to me. If I don't know you, you still mean a lot to me, because we really need to reach out to each other and just be kinder, to try to put someone else in someone else's shoes, and that's the greatest gift my grandmother had ever given to me, is the ability to put myself in someone else's shoes. And when I say the gift, it was more of stern warning from my grandmother about, I can remember walking, it was a S&S Kresge store, and we were walking in, and she was taking my brother and I to lunch, and she had one of us in each hand. And as we walked in, we saw a guy laying on the sidewalk, clearly drunk, clearly sleeping. And I looked over and said, hey, Gabe, look at that bum. What a bum that guy is, to my brother. And we were giggling about it. And my grandmother heard that and got down on one knee and looked us in the eye and said, you know, whatever you think of that person, that could be you. That could be you tomorrow. Who knows what happened to him, and who knows why he's in the position he's in. But who are you to judge? And why would you? And she told us how disappointed she was that day. And any opportunity she ever had to stick up for somebody, to be someone's champion, it's what my grandmother did. And it's who I am because of who I am. And when I hear my cousins call me and tell me stuff about how upset they are when someone's being mean to somebody else, it just reminds me and reinforces the idea that we learn from somebody. That somebody was Grammy Davis, Phyllis Davis, who one of her final acts was to donate. She wasn't a rich woman, but she somehow had this piece of property that was worth a decent amount of money, and she donated it to Habitat for Humanity. It's called Davis Farm Road now, right over in New London by Bates Woods. I think there's about 8 houses on it, and folks of low income were able to, they put some sweat equity in it. They worked on the homes when they were being built, but Habitat for Humanity built those houses, and those folks got to purchase them, live in them, build their equity in a home. They love, it's a great neighborhood if you haven't seen it. But those are the things I learned from my grandmother. No matter what the situation is, I can always put myself in someone else's shoes. And I think if we can do that, if we can, even if you're thinking, well, geez, I don't know why somebody would let their kid transition. I don't know why somebody would do this. Just imagine, we have kids. Imagine if you were going through it and you're the parent and you have for me, in my case, the people that I talk to were just constantly talking about how their kid wanted to commit suicide, to be off this planet, to be gone, to not be able, not to deal with this pressure they felt of not believing that they were they were born a male and they felt like a female. And it was a tremendous amount of pressure in school, getting bullied, all those bad things happening. Imagine being the parent and having to listen to your son or daughter tell you that they don't want to be here anymore. Put yourself in those shoes. And we don't really have to understand anything further than that, because that can apply to any situation, whether some parent is dealing with their loved one that's dealing with addiction or whatever it is. Even the violent part of it. I mean, I put my shoes, and it's hard, and it's in the shooter's shoes. What did this person do? I don't believe people are born where they end up wanting to do that. I think that it's environmental. I think that really if somebody gets out of a car and aims a gun at someone at a mall and they don't know anybody, I don't know if anybody was born to do that. I do think that there's circumstances that make them think that they're doing something right. And it's sickening to be able to put myself in that person's shoes. It doesn't feel right. But when you look at some of the rhetoric and some of the stuff people say, like shooting a Bud Light case up, that's where we end up. And that's what's scary. So just be kind to each other. And if you get any lesson or anything you want to learn, anything from Joe Dela Cruz, I'll just pass down what my grandmother taught me. To walk in somebody else's shoes, to be able to understand them. And I say that a lot. And it helped me in legislation, and it helped me every time I thought about any bill I voted on at the council, RTM level, or right there at the state house. And that's how we should all navigate our lives. Think of how that other person's doing. You see someone laying on the ground or asking for change, remember that we all could be there. We're all human, and we all make mistakes, and life hits us the wrong way sometimes. So again, the guys, on a positive note, I know it sounds like a down show. Think of all the good things that are happening in our community and what's happening around us. Until next week, I will see you guys next Thursday. Hopefully I have the comptroller of Connecticut told me that he's willing to come on the show. Don't know which date, but we're looking forward to seeing him. Thank you guys. This edition of Born Political. I'll see you next week. Take it easy. Thank you.